let's go. We are so excited to be back here in the studio. We got you on video on Facebook. I want to say no chance. We got you on YouTube. Maybe you are listening in on Apple Podcasts or wherever you're listening in from. So welcome to the Unstoppable Growth Podcast. Not only have we got my beautiful wife and girlfriend here, but we've also got Adam and Morgan Ray. Hey.
Thanks for having us.
Oh, so good. And you came with Lydia.
We did.
Yes, we did. Thank you for allowing that. Right?
Yes.
Yeah, and she was just in here just a moment ago. And Brian, who's usually sitting on Adam's seat, is now babysitting.
I think they're having a tea party as
So-
we speak.
How old is Lydia?
She is 16 months.
Yeah. I lose track of the months. I just do it for the year. Right? She's a year and change.
That's good. I want to change you.
The change just keeps going.
But she was here. She's absolutely beautiful.
She was the first unstoppable baby.
That's so
First
true.
unstoppable
Yes.
baby. Even before Quinn. Oh,
Yeah.
Of course. She's been 6
Yeah.
Of course.
Of course.
What am I saying?
Remember the party we had? You brought a cake. The
It
cake.
was very uniquely decorated.
That was my idea.
All right, what was on that cake?
It was a image of a sperm.
And above it, it said unstoppable.
So, for everybody who's listening in, Adam and Morgan have gone through the Unstoppable process probably about 3 times. They are Unstoppable Growth coaches. And we also have, community aspects to Unstoppable Growth, not just the experience itself, but we meet outside of that. We had community days. And then on one of those community days, Adam brings the cake. And Adam and Morgan bring the cake, but Adam is like this cake connoisseur.
Yeah.
He made her wedding cake
You
too.
did your wedding cake?
He did.
He's
It was like
known
6 inches. I was like, I can do 6 inches. Right?
If you want to have a dessert and you hear Adam is coming, you're covered. He's like the
Oh my
best.
goodness. His best cake is a cheesecake.
Biscoff
The
cheesecake.
Biscoff cheesecake.
Yes.
He brings that. I'm in love. There isn't a cafe in town. I'm telling you, I'm being very serious. And we got a lot of cafes here in Charleston.
We do. We have
Yeah.
quite the
There isn't a cafe in town that produces a better cheesecake than Mr.
That's
Adam
a big
Ray.
word. Thank you so
I
much. I
second that.
appreciate it. There's a cheesecake in the mail for you.
Maybe don't say whatever is working out or not working out.
Right.
This could be a career path.
There we
Yeah,
go.
well, yeah, anything is possible right now. So that's great.
And I will always be your taste tester.
Yeah. So good.
So we had this community day and he brought the
And
cake.
he brought the
Yeah.
cake, and that's how that's how
That
they
was
told us that Morgan was pregnant.
Yes.
Yeah. It was fun.
We did.
We did. So I remember you guys praying for us and stuff over that too, like during Unstoppable, outside of Unstoppable, just at the front of church and everything like that, and just praying that God would move right there and
Yeah.
everything. And start to finish, the whole process was just God's hand over it. And stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I love about about Unstoppable Growth. When you are vulnerable with each other,
Right.
when you share your stories, when you grow with each other, it creates a kind of connection that you don't usually have.
Right.
Because a lot of us men, I could speak for the men, we're talking football, we're talking trucks, we're talking guns. We're in the south here. Back home in Switzerland, we're talking whatever, wine, coffee, and soccer. But here, those are the tops, and we tend to stay on the superficial level. Women tend to stay. It's just the way it is.
Right.
But as you share, you become so. Like when you're in the studio, you're not in the studio as Unstoppable Growth participants. You're in the studio as friends,
Right.
and it's so good that we get to experience that with you.
It's just so good to be here with you guys and stuff. We've learned so much from y'all. We've been able to just grow in every aspect of life and have you guys as mentors in so many different areas of life.
Yes.
That it's just unbelievable, and we're just beyond words like how thankful we are for you guys in our life, that God's blessed us with that relationship.
It's awesome. Thank you for that.
We love you guys.
We love you all.
All right, before we
Smooth
make
that.
The people
over.
think it's some kind of a other show.
another show. So tell us, how did you get to find out about Unstoppable Growth?
This is a fun story. So my friend Jen had gone through the Unstoppable 90-day experience before we did. And she reached out to me one day and she said, Morgan, I just went through this. They're going to be doing another experience soon. I think you should do it. And Adam and I were out for margaritas.
So it was I had this day planned out, right? I had the day off from work. It was a holiday or something.
Yeah.
We go out to Kiowa and Freshville Village out there, and we had a massage set up. I was going to be the nice romantic husband and everything, do all this, get out there, and they're like, we don't have your reservation.
So we went and got margaritas instead. And I brought up this Unstoppable experience to Adam, and I said, what do you think? Like, what do you
was
think?
3 sheets to the wind at that point.
But we had been praying about getting involved in a small group or doing something together because we were fairly newly married.
Newly married, but I was new to the church, whereas she had been before. So when we got married, we started going to my church that I'd been going to beforehand. Then summer came, we decided, let's go try to find our church.
Yeah.
And so we went through we just did the online thing for a while.
Yeah.
Didn't find anything that sticks. And I remember coming to Seacoast a few times while we were dating and stuff, just loved the people. And then I said, let's just go and see how it goes. And sure enough, it doesn't take long. And you're just wrapped up in the culture and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's great. And so I hadn't got plugged into any kind of small group or anything at that point. And she was leading a small group previously when we were dating. And so I said, yeah, let's give it a shot. What is this? What's it about?
And I said, I have no idea. We showed up the first day and we still didn't really know what to expect, but we decided we were going to go all in. And so grateful that we did because our lives have been changed in so many ways because of it.
Yeah. Well, that was awesome. So looking back on the first round of Unstoppable, what were some of the sort of key takeaways, key breakthroughs? If you can remember that far.
I can remember. It's just narrowing down how many ways it impacted us.
Each Saturday was basically like getting hit in the face with a fire hose. Everything was just, you're just repeating after Tim. It was so good, so good. Let's go. Yes, fired up. But I remember a couple of the big ones that stuck out were the 5 capitals. I think if you ask anybody, that's one of the ones that they say sticks out.
Yes.
Yeah.
And digging your ditch.
Yeah.
Those were 2 of the big areas that stuck out for me.
Wow.
Definitely the 5 capitals we made with the vision board. We were going to make this really nice night out on the patio with the
trying to be
lights.
romantic again.
And we were going to go through our 5 capitals and make our goals. And I was thinking it was going to be like this really exciting, fun thing to do together, but it was really hard.
Yeah.
It was so hard to make goals together and to really dig into what God was calling us to do as a couple and as individuals. But I think out of those 5 capitals in the vision board, like we've had some big life changes because of it.
So let's talk about that for all of you who are new to the podcast or whatever. We have 5 capitals at Unstoppable Growth. We talk about them in an order because they are in an order of importance. The first one is spiritual capital. The second one is relational capital. So spiritual, our relationship to God. Relationship, our relationship to each other, to our spouses, to our boy girlfriends, to our friends around us, to our work people, neighborhood. Then we have our physical capital, which is mainly our body, but it's also our calendar. And then we have our intellectual capital, how we growing our intellectual space so that we can understand more and gain more wisdom. And then, of course, our financial capital. And we look at all those different capitals and how we can create boundaries around those capitals, how we can grow them. And you come in there and you think, oh, this 5 capitals, this is great.
Yeah.
But then you go home and you start talking about it.
And realize how different goal setting is. Because even in like the physical capital sticks out to me. Adam was like, what do you want to do for physical capital? I was like, I want to get toned.
Yeah.
He's like, how is that measurable? Because his is like, I want to hit this BMI and I want this. And he challenged me to just be more specific. And I feel like with those details, you kind of have to, your faith increases and your trust in the Lord and your accountability too. But
and that's a big thing throughout all of Unstoppable is accountability. And so when you're making goals, And we come from different backgrounds and stuff when it comes to goal setting and stuff. Of course, as a guy and being very analytical, I'm like, okay, if you're going to say I'm going to read a book, it's not an audio book, you're reading.
Yes. I'm audio as well. You're reading.
I'll listen to a book.
Yes.
But so talking about goals and stuff, and she was very much like, from a man's perspective, you're like, that's very flowery. It sounds great and everything, but how are we going to measure it? We just went through, at this point, probably 60 days of being accountable every week with somebody. And so it was kind of almost butting heads. This is what I thought was going to be a beautiful night and everything turned into, oh man, we were really approaching this from two different ways.
Now, did you feel like you had to do common marriage goals or individual goals?
So initially, well, we kind of had it both ways.
We did, yes. So we came at it as we wanted to have goals with each other and stuff, but also in that we wanted to have our own goals. So like if I wanted to do something for her or whatever, that was a me goal, not like she needs to do this. Or we're going to go on a date this number of times this year and all this kind of stuff. But also I want to do something special for Morgan X number of times a month.
Yeah.
Do you have that on your vision board?
Did.
Nice. Not anymore.
When it comes to accountability, I kind of messed up. I was like, well, I wasn't doing the 3 times.
But what I loved out of having individual goals too is I could see what he was working toward, and I could encourage him through that.
Yeah.
And help create margin in our schedules for him to work on X, Y, Z. So it was really helpful to actually have them in front of our face, because we had them in our bathroom. We saw them every day. And it's like, ooh, February wasn't great. We have March.
But also gut checks you too, because I see her like ticking off all the books that she's read throughout the year. I'm like, I'm really slacking on this one right here.
Yeah.
But she is killing.
That's because she's
like,
listening on audio.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Check those books out.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's been great. So when we started, we were only married for, I don't think even a year into the first one. So as a foundation to your marriage, going through something like Unstoppable, it's unmatched. So we did the Symbis class with Mount Pleasant, with Seacoast. Yeah. And that was a great, like, okay, you're going into marriage. Here's all the foundations for that. Once you get into your marriage, you're going through Unstoppable Growth as a couple. Yeah. You're saying, okay, we really got to focus as a couple on how is our home going to be set up when it comes to finances. How are we going to be showing our kids in the future what it looks like to be paying attention to your physical capital, or what's it going to look like? They're going to see you having a quiet time in the mornings.
Yeah. So what I hear is sort of like the big takeaway from your first round was getting on the same page.
Right.
And really being sort of clear about what you want. Because like, even after 30 years of marriage, we'll talk around each other, you know, and because the clearer you get, the more expectations there are, the more accountability there is, the more you can say you did or you didn't.
Right. It's scary.
It's scary.
It is. You think you're aligned and you know where you're going towards, and when you start talking about it and you really hear what you want to go after, it is, even though in the moment it's scary, it's so cool to look back, because then you really can say, hey, we did it.
Right.
It was not, we missed it, but it's even after 30 years, you're so right.
But with so many couples like you guys and the Gilmers that take those chances, and the Kellers doing the scary thing and like going into their stories, it gave us more to talk about and stuff. It's like, hey, here's the things we really need to look out for in our relationship over the next 30 years, whatever. It's like, here's things, you know, like when they say like, Tim and Rebecca, if they're struggling with this, how are we going to do it?
Yeah.
So
I'm glad that you learned from the sins of others.
Yes.
But it was the intentionality we desired, but didn't have the framework or the questions that guide us through. Right. So grateful, because so many good conversations came out of it that we probably would have never had had we not had Unstoppable to kind of guide us through those conversations. But
even taking you back, sometimes I feel people want to get married, just let's enjoy each other, and let's get to know each other better, let's figure out how it does life look like. Isn't this too intensive to go through an Unstoppable then? Of it's almost, it takes you out of cruising When you say it's so intentional. So would you still go back and say, hey, I would do it in the first year again because of this or that?
I think it should be required for any couple. It just helped us build a stronger foundation for the years to come. And even year after year, we change, our circumstances change. We have a child now, so like even our goals are different. So just kind of renewing that intentionality each time you go through it.
Yeah. Do you still do a vision board?
We didn't do a physical, I don't think, this year. We talked about, we kind of pulled up our other ones from the year before.
Yeah.
I kept up and said, hey, let's try it again.
Let's just change the date.
Me too, besides. But
we still do a word of the year, which has been really neat to just look back in December and say, wow, God, look at all you've done.
One thing with that, and then she's taught me, is doing that with your daily quiet time and time with God. I'll kind of put my word up there, but then she told me the other day that she's putting her word and my word up there. Yeah. So she's seeing my word and saying, how's he doing with this? Yeah. How can I pray for him about this? And so, oh man. So I've been falling behind for 3 years now. So started putting her word. Then it gives you more time. Hey, how are you doing with this? Yours is endurance this year. So it's like, what are you trying to endure? And is there anything I can do to take stuff off your plate to make it easier for you?
Yeah. Well, that's what I love about Unstoppable Growth, that I feel like that I didn't expect to happen. When the course was first created, we thought, you go through the course, it's a one and done, everybody finds their purpose and then they move on to their next. But then we realized, oh wow, this is so much more. Like, people are going through it again and again and again, and creating a vision board for every year, creating their goals for every year, rethinking their 5 capitals every year, and just really engaging with all of it. It's an ongoing process that you can continue to tweak. And the more you do it, the easier it becomes. Right. And the more like Lynn Stroy, who's also been on the podcast, she said, at the very first time she did the vision board, she had like about 5 goals per capital. And then she realized she only does the first one under each capital, because the first one is the most important one that you write down usually. Yeah. And so she started doing the vision board, and now she only has 1 goal per capital for the year. And I love that, because she knows that's what's going to get done.
Right.
And so she'll choose it carefully, but she'll choose it and she'll do it.
But I mean, that whole refining and doing it year after year even goes down to our why statement and stuff too. I know I've heard one of the podcasts recently, you were talking, even your why statement has gotten refined in this coming year and stuff. So.
Yeah, I just recently, so we're going through the round again, right? And this time we don't have a central place like we did in the previous years. We have one group that is at the Gilmers, we have one group that's at church, and one group that's online. And it's been a little bit difficult coordinating. And so we decided last week we're going to produce a video and put it up on YouTube. Unlisted, and then we're going to the Gilmers are going to just play the video rather than a Zoom live call and all that kind of stuff on the TV. And so we're recording the video. We're 15 minutes into the video, and I'm going through the chapter on Uncover Your Why. And Uncover Your Why is chapter number 5, and it's
in the book.
In the book, there you go. Come on, let's go. Let's go. Available on Amazon.com. All right, and so it's all about uncovering your why, and just a little bit of background to it. We say uncover your why because your why is really already a part of you, and it's not about finding or discovering. It's already there, and we have a Kairos life map where you put down your most momental events in your life, and usually it's through the pain and the trouble and the trials of your past that God gives you purpose for your future. And so it's about uncovering that. It's about talking about that. We talk about, because like a lot of the time we talk about the gifts and our abilities, and that has so much to do with our purpose, but really what has a lot to do with how we help other people is how we've been helped before.
Right.
So what kind of pain we've overcome. And so I'm going through the chapter. Rebecca's just off to the side of the camera. And I say, and my why statement is...
You, Rebecca.
I have no idea. That's not my why statement. We teach everybody to have a short why statement, a why
You can
statement
remember.
that you can remember, that you can cite, that you can talk about, whatever.
Yes.
But because I've tweaked it a couple of times, like the last version is unclear. So to me,
It's like you still know the old one,
Right.
but you know you had no. I tweaked it.
So my why statement is. Why don't you say your why statement
This is
first?
exactly what it is. To empower others by asking questions to reveal truth so they can experience true transformation.
Okay.
Lord.
Didn't give you long enough to.
Yes. That was too quick. Say it again. So my why statement is to communicate purpose. Oh Lord, here we go.
Let's give them the formula. I think that might be helpful for anybody
All right.
listening or watching. Right? You know, just they can make their own.
Yeah, kick us off, Adam, with that formula.
So the first part you want to say, I'm doing this. This is what I'm all about and stuff.
Yeah.
So to do or to like ask questions.
Yes.
Or to provide a place that blah blah blah. You know.
Yeah.
And then our second half of that is so that.
Yeah.
Because we want that to have an impact. You're not doing it just because it's like, this is how I kind of want to float through life. This is what's comfortable to me. It's like, I'm going to make it about, I'm doing this on purpose for
Yes.
with an outcome in mind.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
And what I love about the why statement, I mean, you may be listening in and say, what's so important about it? And you probably heard the two most important days are when you give your life to Jesus and when you discover your purpose. And normally people always respond with, yes, I agree. But then when it comes down to what is your purpose, most of people don't know. I mean, we know from the Bible that Jesus said, go make disciples. But the way you make disciples, Morgan, is different than I make it. And this is where the why statement comes in place. This is where, what does it mean for me, Rebecca, making disciples? And my way is to empower others by asking questions. And so it helps me as soon as I find out what my why statement is, it's almost a guidance. So when job offers come, when we maybe come to this afterwards, when things in life could come toward you, you can filter through your why statement. Is this for me?
Yeah.
Can I give a yes to this or can I give a no to this? And so it's not, it helps you preventing being overwhelmed by too much wrong things or good things even, because good things can keep you away from that as well.
All right, so it's like, so the first part of the why statement is your contribution, right? What are you doing? How are you contributing? And the second part of your why statement is the action. How are you going to do it? And then what kind of an impact does it leave behind? And so here are some examples of some why statement. My why statement here in the book, it's a little bit different now, but in the book it's to inspire purpose through passionate communications so that listeners grow in their God-given potential. I think it's I replace it so that listeners take their next steps. I wanted a little bit of a clear. I hear the quacking in the background. That's our
from their daughter.
That's it.
Yeah.
But here's a couple over the years that we've collected to give people the gift of time through convenient and functional technology, so that individual quality of life will be improved. To see God heal others emotionally by creating safe places so that hurting people can experience God's power and grace. So we'd love to help you create your why statement. You can go to the book and start to work on it yourself, or you can join us in one of the 90-day breakthrough experiences and create it, and we'll help
That's
you
what's
create it.
great about the book too, is it's got blanks inside. It's like a workbook inside of the book. So you don't have to purchase two separate books. You get everything right there.
Yeah.
You can, after a couple of pages, have something written out. And that should be working on chipping away at the next decade in that.
Yes. Well, what's great about the book now, going through did you go through the 90-day experience with a book?
Not with a book. We have the book.
Yes.
We have two books, actually.
But now I start talking about the chapter and everybody goes, yeah, I've heard it already. And they've already read it. So it's really cool. They're already prepared. They're ready. Some of them have got their why statements already done before we even open up the chapter. Uncover your whys. It's been really helpful.
That begs the question: do you like that better, or do you like the surprise of it better?
Well, I think I like it better because it's deeper, because people are really connecting with it, and it's like this whole book is like drinking from a fire hose. Yeah. You could take a chapter. Every chapter in this book could be its own book.
Right.
And so it's like, and I love that because you want to, I just hate moving through life slowly.
Surprise.
If
you don't get it all, do it again. You know, it's okay. It's okay. You go around the second time or third time, like most people do.
It's true.
But what's really helpful is people are drinking from a fire hydrant now, but they're able to drink on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, not just on that small group experience that we had, coaching group, or on that Saturday morning or whatever. And so that's become really helpful. I have to find a way of maybe bringing in new stories or whatever so that people stay engaged.
I'll tell you what, going through it 3 times, every time we got something different and we heard something different.
So one time as a participant, 2 times as coaches and stuff. So you're looking at it a little different, because you're trying to think as a coach, like, okay, how am I going to help them apply this on Tuesdays? But you're still getting stuff you didn't catch the first time.
Yeah.
Time through.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's still for me, being your wife, having this fire hose every day. For me, it's not that. But it's still, because like you said in the beginning, life changes and other things become important, or you need to find solution with it. And so going through it again and again really helps you growing. So what were some of the biggest challenges or changes that you had after going through, or even while you were going through?
So what comes to mind for me is when I was a coach, I had Bridget Wells in my group. I was her coach, and during that session, I was praying through, it was a new year, I was praying through my job. And although I was a teacher, I didn't feel like I was living out my why.
Yeah.
And so I wrote... What is your why?
What is my why? To embolden others to achieve their potential so that they can experience joy and prosperity.
Let's go!
But
the student becomes the teacher.
I did my but I just felt a huge disconnect. And so praying through, I wrote in my journal, in fear and trembling, a new job. And through Unstoppable and through the relationships there, and just kind of that little spark of courage and being willing to step into something different. Bridget actually approached me about a job that I had not had on my radar before. I hadn't considered. But she challenged me. She said, Morgan, I think you would be really awesome for this. And we had to pray through that and what that looked like. And I didn't sign a contract for the next school year, which meant I didn't have a job, and just stepped into it with faith. And I'm now the nursery lead at Seacoast Church. And
let's go.
It's so much.
Yeah.
It's just fun to see the difference in her coming home and how she talks about stuff and the stories, and just you see when someone's plugged into a job that's their God ordained role.
Yeah.
How much it changes who you are and how you affect your own family.
Yeah.
And when you're just working a 9 to 5 or doing a job that, hey, I liked this a couple of years ago. And stuff. I thought I was supposed to be a teacher when I was in college, but God shifted me now and showed me more.
Yeah.
And what I love with that, which I feel and I see a bit nowadays challenge with, especially younger people, they think I have the right thing already. But sometimes you have to start doing something and you were good at it. I mean, they loved you, you were a great teacher, but you still, by doing it, you came to a place of, but what if there's more?
Yes.
And is this really, am I living my why statement? Because you figure it out while you go. And so then to find the boldness of saying, Lord, I'm letting go, I want to be willing. I love that. How was this for you, being the husband and she coming up with, I think I want to change?
The Lord's really been good to us over the years, and just coming into the marriage, how everything's he's just had his hand on all of it, so many different areas. So I knew I had 100% confidence that no matter what, it was going to be good. Like he was going to take it and use it. And so if it meant we had less money coming in every month, we'd be okay. If it meant that she's going to be away from the house more and I'll have to watch Lydia more and stuff, then it's going to work out. But he just took it and ran with it. Of course, like when you let anything go and say, okay, God, I'm giving it to you now, you go. He just took it and changed everything for us in such a great way. And it's done great. It's like, I would have thought that I was going to be stressing out on Sunday mornings trying to get Lydia ready by myself instead of trying to dress a 1-year-old and all this while she's gone to church and everything. And sure enough, it's been a great little bonding time for us. I don't get that every day like she does before work. She gets to take Lydia to daycare up here and everything, and I don't see her until I get home in the afternoons.
Yeah. What I love about that angle on sort of the biggest change in your lives or whatever, you have your personal transformation where God changes your feelings, God changes your thoughts, God changes how you talk with each other. Perspective, intimacy in a relationship becomes different. But also just very practical things happen when you share, when you, like going back to the beginning, when you're vulnerable and accountable and you're sharing, and he connects you.
Yeah.
And, we have, a lady who bought a house. She shared it. She put it on her vision board. I'm going to buy a house this year. That was clear on our vision board. Well, in the room, there was the realtor. In the room was somebody would help her with the finances. In the room, there was an encourager, a prayer. Like in the room were the resources. Right. And it's the same thing that you experienced here. Yeah. You in that place were the resources to fulfill your purpose. So not just the idea of fulfilling your purpose, not just the theology behind fulfilling your purpose, not just the intent and the prayer, but the actual connection, the actual resources.
Yeah, come on.
And I love it. Well, I'm so encouraged by that because Jacqueline Garrity shared the exact same thing yesterday. She shared that
yesterday in that group,
in that group. She came. Her reason for joining, and I'm allowed to say this because she'll say it sometime on the podcast. But her reason for joining was to lose weight. That was her reason. She wanted to become a part of Unstoppable because she felt like she had some pounds to lose and just needed the motivation and the accountability to do it. And I thought that was cool. I never thought about Unstoppable being that kind of a course, a help. But then the outcome was, and after the first round, she thought that she was going to just try and get by until she was 65 so she could get a retirement and lie down low. She was filled with purpose, realized that 65 is not the end of her life, but the beginning of a new life, and got so fired up that she applied for a new job, got a new position, got a salary. She had a 78% increase in her finances. And yesterday she says it's gone from 78 to 100% increase. She's doubled her income in 2 years. Doubled her income.
And the thing, there you go. Her son is seeing all this stuff.
Yes.
He's like 15, 16 years old
and
stuff. How does that affect him?
Yeah.
As opposed to if she were to just wait till 65 and just maintain.
And so she has this financial gain, but then at the end, she also lost the pounds.
Yeah.
Oh,
immeasurably more, right?
Yeah, right.
And I love that. I love that. It's not just about a philosophical or internal thing, which is important. As you say, perspective is important, but it's also about very practical changes.
And it's a mindset too. I feel like although we've gone through it 3 times and I went through my life change, like Adam still knows his why, and we're currently in a season where we're going to make another shift.
Yeah.
In some things.
Less dramatic.
Well,
but you never know.
But an investment and a sacrifice that we're willing to step into because it would result in him having more opportunities to walk in his why. So
true. Yeah. So I know for me, the why that I had going through was to help people discover the work that they're been wired to do. The Lord's wired them to do, like inside and outside the church. Not just where do you need to serve, and where are you going to work and what kind of job are you going to do that's really going to like provide you with more. And like what Tim was saying with the Kairos moments, I didn't make this connection really until just maybe sitting right here. But that was one of the things I think that as a kid, I saw that affected me in a negative way. Is my dad, like so many other dads, like just knew he had to provide and he had to fill this role and he had to do the hard things. And so he worked a job that was not what he was designed to do. And so just because he had to get the paycheck and he had to provide the house, the food, all this, just, and that required him to work long hours that made him more agitated than it would have if he worked shorter hours in a job that he really liked. And so, so that affected our family and us kids and stuff. And so as a man now, it's like, I don't want that for my daughter. I don't want her to see me just working a job that is just to,
providing.
Right. Just to get by and all this kind of stuff. And so to take that step in my mind to like, how do I apply this to other people that are in those jobs? How do I change other kids' lives so that they're not experiencing the same kind of, I'll say trauma, but just like that, it's selling it short. Right? God has great plans where he wants to provide for you in a way that's above anything you could even think about. And so how do we get other people into that kind of work? Or how do you get the customers for the work so that that work provides more for you? So these kids are seeing a dad who's going into a job that he loves and has purpose in, and he can pour into them on a higher level than just giving them the leftovers when he gets home.
That's awesome. Well, it feels like wrapping up. It feels like today's podcast has all been around your why and how you have discovered or uncovered your why, how you've been able to engage with that, and how God has continually provided a way for you to live out your why. And you now, because of the experience that you've had with him, you're trusting him for the next chapter, that he'll continue to not just uncover the why, but actually give you opportunities to be able to live in that.
Spoken like a true master coach. Right?
You're the master coach.
Trying to be like Rebecca. That's like,
I know. We're all trying to
be like Rebecca.
Oh my goodness. Rebecca, would you take a moment to pray with us?
Yeah.
Is there anything that you'd like to say?
Just as an encouragement for the listeners, sometimes you can hear like, oh, those are great life stories, and you talk about because you have good outcomes. But it always started with a decision.
Right.
Like it started with you taking this course. It starts with maybe you reading the book. Maybe it starts off you listen regularly to the Unstoppable, just believing that God is doing something in your life. And then it's also trusting that those steps will lead somewhere. It's never, unfortunately, looking back, no one came and offered that to you. If you would say yes to this is what you experience. It is trusting God that those steps that you're taking will come out for better, because you are getting stronger, you are getting more confident by just knowing, yes, it is challenging and scary putting those things on a board. So like for you, it is maybe I'm getting up now every morning on a certain time. It is creating a routine for your day. Whatever it is, it doesn't always has to be I'm changing a job, but it's just doing something differently towards the direction you believe you want to grow, or we believe God is calling you to grow. And so start somewhere, start doing it regularly. For you, it was the course and showing up and doing the work and having this first thought, having a romantic evening of we're having the tough conversations, which actually strengthened and the romantic in the end, I believe, because you know exactly where you're at and what you have with each other. And so keep on doing it, keep on setting goals, start somewhere and follow through. And then otherwise reach out to us. We'd love to help you. We'd love to ask you some questions and be there for your next step.
Good.
So good.
Father, thank you so much for Morgan and Adam. Thank you so much for their yes. It started with a yes.
Yeah.
We don't know, but we believe you, Father, have something good for us. Even though we're newly married, even though we also have dreams and we have those hopes, but sometimes we have those hopes, but we don't know how to get there. And so thank you that you give us people, like you gave people into our life that help us creating system. Help us this how it could look like and how this turned out so well for them. Thank you, Lord, for you giving us a purpose, for you giving us, hey, we get to dream. It's not like every day we're waking up in an uncertainty, but we can put down some things that we believe you want us to get there, like having a relationship with you, having a relationship with a good friend, with a spouse, bringing healing into those relationships, but also giving us the boldness for going after. So thank you that your blessing and your courage is upon the listeners too. Maybe you're here and you're listening and you don't know who this God is for you yet. You try to live your life alone and setting those goals. Why don't you just invite Jesus and say, I need you. I want you. I want you to be a light in my life. You, Jesus, died for us on the cross so that we can have the freedom, which also means in freedom is light. In freedom, there is no darkness. And so thank you, Lord, that in you we have everything. Thank you for your blessing upon the Ray family. Also the changes they're pursuing, they're going after, because they're believing big and they're believing for more. So thank you for your presence upon each one of us and for your provision, because you are a good God. Amen.
Amen.
Amen and amen. Our mission is to help you grow in all areas of your life, spiritually, relationally, physically, intellectually, and also financially. Let us know how we can help you and contact us at unstoppablegrowth.org. Have a great week.